What up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for P-Valley Season 2, Episode 8, you guys. So 2 more episodes left of P-Valley this season, and we are done. So this episode is titled The Death Trap. So before we go ahead and just jump into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and aren't subscribed, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video, you guys. And with that out the way, without further ado, let's discuss P-Valley, shall we? Down in the valley where the girls get naked. If you throwing bands, then you know she gon' shake them. 1, 2, break them. 3, 4, break them. These niggas grind hard, but these bitches grind harder. Climbing up the pole just to get out the bottle. The crowd below. All right, you guys, that's it. Let's get into the review. So, what I want to start up with, actually, let's start up with Keyshawn, Corbin, Andre, and Autumn. Let's start up with them. So, we see Keyshawn. Actually, we saw Autumn first. So, Autumn is at this diner. Actually, she's at the diner where Keyshawn and Derek had their first date with each other, right? So Keyshawn comes in, Keyshawn sits beside Autumn. So Keyshawn has the birth certificates for she and her 2 kids. So what Autumn is going to do is Autumn is going to get her a passport made for each one of them. So then, Autumn is telling her about coming back to the Pank. Since the Pank is getting ready to reopen, come back to the Pank and you be the headliner. And she was like, Derek ain't gonna go for that. So Autumn was like, what you do is you tell Derek all the money that's going to be on the floor, that's his money. Meanwhile, the money that we make at the door, we're going to get that to you and you and the kids go. So then she says, so where are you going to go? So Keyshawn was about to tell her where she's going to go. She's like, Cardinal rule number 1, don't tell anybody where you're going, including the person who is helping you. So she says, what did you say to Derek to get you out the house? She says, I told him that she was craving some bacon fries, so that's what he thinks. So Keyshawn then tells her, I looked up Autumn, Haley, right? And she says, it says that she drowned in Texas. She's like, yeah, but she drowned in Texas, but here she is in a diner in Chucalissa, talking to you. So then on the television, you guys know how it is when it comes to the political ads. They always run those smear they always talk negatively about their opponent, right? So there's this ad that is on the TV and is about Andre. So you guys know that Andre has been saying that his dad is no longer living. Well, come to find out, Andre has been lying about that little information. Andre's dad is very much alive and well. He's actually in prison and he's on death row. So then we move over to Andre and to Corbin. So Corbin is pissed off with Andre, like, I asked you when we started this, what the fuck? You lied to me. The question that I really have is, Corbin was having such an issue with his brothers last season, so I'm trying to figure out where did Corbin get all this money from to be able to help him with his campaign. If you guys know that answer, you guys can chime in, but I don't remember. So then, after that, there's another ad that comes up and it's about Patrice Woodbine. So Patrice has been a prostitute. She's used drugs, assault, and battery. So then Patrice says, I told y'all I was a hoe. I sucked a many a dicks in my day, fucked a few tricks, slapped many motherfuckers, and she did some check fries shit. I was like, well, damn. You can't hate the bitch because, as much as I can't stand Patrice Woodbine, she was upfront and honest about what she did. She said she hoed so Chucalissa could fly. I was like, okay. So Corbin eventually left and Andre got a phone call from Haley, which he declined. So then we move over to Derek and Keyshawn. Derek is like a Sour Patch Kid. First they're sour, then they're sweet. And the sour with Derek is slapping her around and the kids now. So he comes into the house and he has a gift for Keyshawn. He has some new shoes for her. And he's just trying to make things, I'm like, oh, you realize that she ain't paying you no bit of attention. So now you're trying to butter her up because you're afraid that she might potentially leave you. Okay, Derek, we see you. So he's just begging with Keyshawn, baby, don't leave me. Give me another chance. Like, what can I do to make things right for you? She was like, well, what I want, there's no monetary value on it. He's like, well, you can do your OnlyFans. She was like, I don't want to do that, Derek. He says, well, how about you go back on tour? I don't want to do that either, Derek. He says, not the Pink. She says, yes. She says the Pink is a place where she felt safe. How did you feel safe when him and, well, I guess you felt safe before him and Diamond had their fight. So I get it. I get it. So she tried on the shoes. The shoes were too small. He's like, but this is your size. She says, after having 2 kids, my feet spread. So then we see Corbin. So Corbin went to go see Wayne. And he's like, you really just fucked things up. Like, you put this out about Andre and his dad being on death row. And you ain't looking no better. Like, he's like, what if we put out the secret about our father? He says, well, you are our father's secret. I was like, well, touche. You ain't lying about that. So you guys know that Wayne is still upset at Corbin about this whole deal with the casino. Okay. So Corbin tells Wayne, like, you doing that to Andre, all that did was gave that bitch Patrice the upper hand. Because you and him are trailing her in the polls. That made her go above both of you. And I guess the reason why Patrice went above them is because, yes, Andre lied about his father, being on death row. And the thing is, Patrice has been upfront and honest about being a hoe, being a prostitute, the abuse, everything. Patrice has been upfront about it, so the people feel that they can trust her. I don't know how you can trust a bitch that did check fraud and a bitch that was willing to pimp out her own daughter, but okay. I guess it's kind of like the 2020 election, a lesser of two evils, huh? And the 2016 election, neither here nor there. So we later see Uncle Clifford. So she pulled up on Corbin. So Corbin is working, and that's why I was like, wait a minute. Corbin is still doing work, but he got this money to back Andre. Where'd he get it from? So Uncle Clifford was talking to Corbin, and even when Corbin said it, like, Clifford, I can't deal with your riddles today. I was saying the same thing. I'm like, Uncle Clifford is talking in a big ass riddle, and I don't know what the fuck she is saying. But she ultimately basically said, like, remember when Grandma Ernestine went down towards the water, that she couldn't get to the water, so they brought the water to her. So that's in a nutshell. Excuse me, I didn't mean to do that cough in your face. In a nutshell, that's what Uncle Clifford was telling Corbin. So then we see Autumn. Now you guys know Autumn. That heifer gonna make her way to Andre, come hell or high water. So she went to over there to see him with some moonshine, right? And they have a little conversation. Andre's talking about his dad, and she's telling Andre basically, you can go down to the even if it is plexiglass, you can go to the plexiglass and talk to him and ask him the questions that you want to know. But with me, I don't know my parents. I waited until I was 18 to get the file, but I guess she didn't get the file on who her parents were. So then they're talking about him being the mayor. He says that dream is over. She's like, I know you're not gonna let them white boys win. He ain't got no choice. He has no choice because, like I just said a few minutes ago, Patrice Woodbine is in the lead. So the only way he has a running chance is if something that people don't know about Patrice comes out. I don't know what that could be. I mean, hell, they even got a video of her fighting with Mercedes. So that's her own daughter. So I don't know what y'all can say or do that can make Patrice look bad. So yeah. So then she calls up Brazil, and she wants for Brazil to meet up with her. So then the last thing we see Patrice. So you guys know this is the beginning of the pandemic, and back then people were doing church via Zoom and all that kind of stuff, right? So Patrice is doing her sermon. I don't know what the hell she was doing, but people were donating to her, and then somebody donated $10,000 to her, and the girl told her it came with a message, and the message was, "Cash me outside." So she met up with Corbin, and Corbin is telling her basically that he wants her to drop out of the running for mayor. She said, initially when she did it, it was just out of spite, but now it's really something that she wants to do. So he gives her a brown paper bag, and it got a stack of cash in it. I was like, well, shit. You know what? If Patrice plays this the way like Autumn is playing with, I forgot, I left that part out. I left that part out. So Autumn, if she plays it the way that Autumn is playing it with that white woman from Promised Land. So the white lady from Promised Land, she was getting her hair. She was at the beauty salon. So Autumn went down there to go see the lady, and the racist ass white woman was like, you know, Shanae's that's around the corner. I would have said, bitch, I'm not looking for no damn Shanae. I'm looking for this white hoe right in front of me. But you know, so the lady in Autumn, as much as Autumn does get on my nerves, I can say that I have some respect for Autumn because the woman said, so you're here to take my $5 million offer. She was like, no, I'm taking the $10 million that I want. And the woman was like, she was talking about the casino referendum. Even if this one doesn't pass, she can wait for the next one to pass, and that could be years. And then she was like, you know, even with the election, the money might not be there, so you might want to take your chances. So what is it going to be? Are you holding or are you folding? So Haley is going to hold on to her cards. And honestly, I'm with her. I'm with her. So you guys, let's pause here and let's move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about Mercedes real quick because it wasn't a lot about Mercedes, but we'll talk about her. So we see Mercedes. So Mercedes is out for a run with Black and Mild. I can't get over her name in a dog, Black and Mild. So we find out that Maine has gotten out of jail, and I'm kind of trying to figure out how in the hell did Maine get out of jail. But Maine does have an ankle bracelet on. So Maine tells her that, you know, CFC is going to be having a little get together, you know, for him the next day. And he wants her to come. That is, if she's not too busy, you know, down there at the paint. And she was like, you know, the paint has been shut down. So I just have to look and see what else I got going. So he wants her to come and be his date. So then we see her. Now, I'll come back to this a little later in the review. But at one point in the episode, she was at the paint. She got a phone call from Terica. So Terica and Shell are at her house, right? So Shell is pissed off at Mercedes because Mercedes took Terica to go get the abortion in last week's episode. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, Shell's like, you know, in my house, we take care of our responsibilities. Really, Shell? Because the last time I checked, because you like, you got her an abortion without a legal guardian. Well, technically she is her mother. She might not have that many rights to her child, but she is still her mother. But Shell, you talking about you take care of your responsibilities, and what wouldn't have happened and this and this and that. But Terica got pregnant on your watch because you've been, you know, tossing them back. So you want to come down hard on Mercedes, but bitch, you the one that's been drinking like a fish. Your daughter's been driving you around and whatnot, so you ain't got no room to talk about Mercedes, Shell. I want you to look in the mirror and realize she didn't feel comfortable coming to you because you are, you know, you face down in a bottle. You face down in a bottle, so your daughter didn't feel like she could come to you. And then your daughter, when you was talking about how much of a mistake she was, that affected that girl. So she went to her biological mother. So they argued, and Terica was like, you know what, let's go home, mama. Let's go home. And Mercedes was like, fuck no, I'm gonna call this drunk bitch a Uber. And Terica's like, no, I'll drive. She's like, the hell you are? She's like, I got this. You taught me how to drive. I was like, okay, this is nice to see Terica not so upset and angry with Mercedes, but Shell got her damn nerve. Shell got her nerve. Like, you drunk and you mad at Mercedes, but again, you need to take up some responsibility as well. Your child didn't feel comfortable coming to you because you are not in a sober mind. Think about that, Shell. Think about that. So, you guys, also, I do want to talk about this scene. Well, should I talk about it? Yeah, we'll hold off on it. We will hold off on it. So Mercedes, she pulls up to the party, right? Remember, I told you that Maine was having a party. They were celebrating Maine getting out of jail. So one of the dudes came up to him and told him that Pico got popped. We'll talk about Pico in a minute too. So Maine was about to go, and Mercedes was like, absolutely not, Maine. Those dudes ain't got no ankle bracelet on. You got one on, so you need to stay put. So Maine and Mercedes, they stayed put, right? So they're talking, and, you know, Mercedes is telling him everything that happened at murder night. You guys remember her popping Montavious, right? Now, I know a lot of people have been saying that they feel like Big Bone and Montavious are connected in some kind of way. The more I think about it, I agree with you guys. They are connected. So After that, she was telling him about that. She was like, "Does it get easier? Like, how do you get through it?" Child, I don't know how does anybody get through that, knowing that you took somebody's life? Oof, couldn't be me. I don't even know if I could do it if it like even in self-defense, right? Because that would be something that I would have to go through therapy for that. Literally would have to go through therapy for that kind of stuff because that's just dark and so heavy, and I know it just weighs on a person and it eats at a person. Yikes, you guys. So let's pause here, you guys, and let's wrap up the episode. All right, you guys. So now we're back to the beginning of the episode. So the episode opens up and we saw Mercedes. So Mercedes was down at the paint. And this is Mercedes' first time back on the pole since the last time when she was dancing and she fell. So things are not going the way that she would expect for them to go. So Uncle Clifford comes in because she started crying. Uncle Clifford's like, you don't cry. And he tells her that the injury is not in her shoulder, that it's in her head. And so she was like, okay, well, if that's the case, then your problem with the pain ain't in your head. It's not in your hand. It's in your head. Well, she said it to her, that it's it's in your head and it needs to be in your hand. So Mercedes says, if I'm going to try, then so should you. I was like, are y'all really just, like literally, I might not like Haley. Haley ain't my favorite person. But are we really talking about, unliving this bit? Or, because I feel like we keep talking, everybody keeps telling Uncle Clifford to take the bit out. I don't like Haley that much, but I don't want her to be unlived. I don't know about that. So then we see Uncle Clifford. So she is giving Little Murder a haircut. And she asked Little Murder, like, you want me to give you this haircut? Like, where you going all, good looking and stuff? He says, nowhere. And Uncle Cliff was like, you are more secretive than a Janet Jackson lyric. That was a good line. That was a good line. And she says, I'm not going to be a secret. So she says, just because you gave me some olive branch booty don't mean nothing. And Murder says it was much more than some olive branch booty. It was something, he said something else. So then Uncle Clifford said something back to him. And so it kind of goes back to what happened. Like, you remember they had unprotected sex last week. So Murder's like, I don't know where you been. And Uncle Clifford's like, I don't know where you been. So it was a back and forth like, I don't know where you been. Neither one of y'all know where y'all been. And Uncle Clifford did bring up a good point. You were with Big Teak. I don't know that you used a condom with Big Teak. And Murder said he did. Which we know Murder and Big Teak did have, use a condom. We know that. We know that. We do know that. So, where am I at? So also in this same scene, so you guys, so grandmother Ernestine, she's still very much alive. She hasn't left us yet. So praise the Lord for that, because I was wondering if they were writing her off last week, but grandmother Ernestine is still very much alive and well. So Uncle Clifford is calling, trying to get information at the hospital, how grandmother is doing. Now the bitch that was on the phone was a rude bitch. Her bedside manner was terrible. This woman is calling to check on her grandmother, and she was like, I told you the last time, no news is good news. I would have cussed that woman. I literally would have cussed that woman out. I get it. She's probably, and I'm thinking back to the beginning of 2020 with the pandemic. I know that those people were overworked. The hospitals were crowded. I get that. But it's a pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. We're not out of it. We're still in it. And I get it. At that time, things were, this is, you got to think from the mindset of Uncle Clifford, her grandmother. She don't know, her grandmother is an older woman. She has health issues. She just wants to know if she's okay. Then you got to think from the standpoint of the doctors and the nurses. They had so many patients that they were looking at, and oh my God. I'm sorry, you guys. My best friend just texted me. Huh? What? Now, I didn't see that. You guys, I'm so sorry. My best friend is texting me. One about her ex just got married, and we talking about that. Yeah. So I understand what the nurse was coming from, and I understand Uncle Clifford. But damn, lady, you could have had a better bedside manner. Is all I'm gonna say with that one. So then we see Murder. So Murder went down to the funeral home to see Cheek's body. So Wody came in, and Wody got him looking good. You can't tell anything. You know, remember, Teak unlived himself, right? You can't tell anything. So Wody asked him what is he burying him in. He brought the suit for him. And then, they talk about Wody unliving Rome. Basically, I'm going to sum it up because they had a long conversation. I'm just going to sum it up. Wody was telling Murder he was a rapist. He got what he was asking for. Honestly, I agree with Rome. So he's like, so you God now? I mean, we can be God and the devil, right? That's what Wody said. I don't agree with that, but that's what he said. So then he also tells him that about the tape that Rome had. Now, I want you guys to tell me if you because listening to this, I don't think that Rome had a sex tape of Murder and Teak. Listening to it, Murder said 15. So I'm going to assume that Murder made a sex tape at 15, probably with a man, or it could be with a woman, but I'm pretty positive it's a man. He said he was 15. He had to do what he had to do to feed himself and his mama and make sure everything was good. I was like, damn, a 15-year-old had to make a sex tape. I think that's, but then the question then comes out is, how in the hell did Rome get his hands on it, and why did Rome have his hands on it? So Murder is wondering if he sent it out. And so, Wody was like, well, if he did, I'll handle it. Wody, what does that mean? Because you can't be going around here unliving everybody just because of that sex tape. So then we move over to the Pank. So the Pank, the Ugandans, they have basically, remember, Lauren told them that they had to get up to code in order to reopen. So they've gotten everything taken care of. But at this particular point, they are, remember, with the pandemic, you can have more than 6 people in a gathering. So they can only operate at, remember, and when the state started to reopen, you can only be at 50, at 50%, then it was 80%, then you could go to full capacity, right? So at this point, they can only do 50%. And, Uncle Clifford and Big L are talking, and Big L's like, how are we supposed to be making our Skrilla if we can't even operate at full capacity? And Uncle Clifford's like, that's the bitch you need to be worried about dicking down, not that big bone bitch back there. I'm talking about Big Bone. Because we know that Big Bone is sweet on Diamond. And he was like, oh, he smiles. Diamond's like, I heard you. He said, I wanted you to hear that, Diamond. So then, Uncle Clifford, she is happy that her bottom bitch is back. And she has a new routine. So old Haley over here is like, you got a new routine? Let me see it. She's like, yes, sir, massa. So Autumn tells Big Bone to put on some music for her. When Mercedes just stood there. She's like, is that your routine? So Mercedes went and started to try to do her routine, and it was booty. So Autumn says, you're not ready, but someone else will headline. And Mercedes like, I know you're talking about Roulette and Whisper. She's like, no, somebody else. You got to worry about another part of competition. So who walks in? Keyshawn. Everybody turn around and look and be like, this bitch. And Diamond's face was the one that really was like, what the fuck? So we see Whisper and Roulette. They fanning out over, Keyshawn. They telling her that they use her eyelashes. I follow you on Instagram. I've been following you before you blew up and all this kind of stuff, right? So you can hear, meanwhile, while they're talking to her, you can hear Uncle Clifford and Autumn, baby, they screaming at each other, and it was loud. So Mercedes then came in and she said, so you back? She said, yeah. She's like, Mercedes, she's like, basically it's like she didn't have any other choice but to come back. She said, ain't no place like home. So then we see Uncle Clifford. She left out after arguing with Autumn. So Uncle Clifford is in her car and she's crying, and in the back seat, her mother's, you can see her mother in the back seat, and her mother's like, what did I tell you? First she's like, who do I need to beat up? Then she says to Uncle Clifford, what did I tell you? Bitches don't just cry, they get even. Girl, Haley, bitch, I really hope you know how to bob and weave, bitch. Cause your ass is grass hoe. Baby Haley, I hope you know how to bob and motherfucking weave. You better square up. Cause somebody's gonna whoop your ass. I don't think anybody's gonna unlive Haley, but I know she better know how to fight because somebody's gonna beat the shit out of her. Her ass whooping is coming. I can sense that from a mile away that Haley is getting the ass whooping. Haley gonna get that ass beat by somebody. Don't know who, but somebody gonna whoop her ass. So then we see the funeral for Big Teak, right? So after the funeral, we see some of Murder's guys. So they got their phone and it look like they on Instagram or something like that. And Pico, you guys remember Pico? Pico is a nigga that Big Teak beat up when he called that one woman a bitch, and Big Teak was like, "Don't do that." So this little nigga is on and got a gun up to the camera talking about he the one that took out Big Teak. I'm like, okay. Now, next we got Roulette and Whisper. Roulette, baby girl. I don't know how you can sit here and judge Mercedes, right? Just because Mercedes, she's talking about Mercedes is past her prime and watching her is like watching her grandma. Girl, I'd rather be Mercedes than you because you coming off like a grade A classic 304. Like, I get we do things to make it. I get we do things to make it in this world, but baby, Roulette look like anybody who just throw her a stack. She'll do anything for a stack. That's really what Roulette is she'll do anything for a stack. Would I do anything for a stack? Semi. There are certain things, I told you guys before, there are certain things that JB won't do for a stack, but there are certain things that he will do for a stack. Right? There are some things that I'll do for a stack, and I'm not judging her. But I am judging her because she's judging Mercedes. Like, you ain't no better than Mercedes. Mercedes ain't had to devalue herself. Well, well, technically she hasn't because I don't think she did. I mean, obviously she enjoyed this session with Coach and with Farrah. So I ain't gonna say she devalued herself, but you sucked them. Okay, never mind. Because I was about to go in on Roulette, but I'm not. Because I'm pretty sure Roulette is probably like in her early 20s. So I can't really judge her too much, but I just didn't like her talking about Mercedes. So then she's talking to Whisper. And she's still trying to get Whisper to let that man eat her. I was like, girl, so now we prostituting Whisper. Okay. So then Autumn, that's when I told you guys earlier when Mercedes got the phone call from Terica. We see Mercedes and we see it's actually Mercedes and Mississippi. They on the stage, and then Autumn came in and told Mercedes she's not ready. So, like I said, Roulette is just trying to make Whisper a complete hoe. So they got this old seedy ass motel that they at, and she's still trying to, she's still talking Whisper into doing this with this guy because Whisper's like, something just don't sit right with me with this. It's not sitting right with me. So the man, Terrence, he shows up, right, and he going down on Miss Whisper, and she's moaning, but after it was all said and done, she was faking it because he wasn't doing a good job to her. So he was supposed to pay her $20,000, and she was like, nigga, where's the rest of my money at? Like, this ain't all my Skrilla. Where is it at? You short $200,000. Not $200,000, $200. So Roulette was in the bathrooms, and at one point he was like, oh, so it's gonna be a 2-for-1. She's like, this ain't the deal. You want her. If you want me, you're gonna pay my money. He was like, nah. So okay, well, I'm staying, and you can do whatever you're gonna do, but I ain't going nowhere. Because if I go, then she goes as well. And I can say in that sense, I can say I have a slight bit of respect for Whisper. I mean, not Whisper, for Roulette not to leave Winter, not to leave Whisper in a bad situation. So I respect her for that situation, but putting her in this situation, I don't respect her for it. So eventually, when she was asking where the money was, he was like, you was faking. He was like, you don't know how to moan. And she's like, well, you don't know how to eat pussy. So I was faking it. And she said, you got this spirit around you that you've never pleased a woman before. So he choking her out, and Roulette came out the bathroom, so she got a gun, and she put it to his head, and so she was like, she's like, I want to play a game with you. What's the game called? I'm playing with you guys. I know what the game's called. She was doing this kind of stuff. I'm like, girl, sir, you know her name is Roulette, right? I think what she's trying to say is she want to play Russian roulette with you, and baby, that's a game that I don't want to play. Nope, no, thank you. Nobody wants to play that game. So she takes the gun and puts it to her head. Boom. Then she puts it to his head. Boom. I was like, this is not what I expected to see. I don't want to see nobody's blood, nobody's brain matter scattered. So at one point she told Whisper to take his clothes off. Whisper was like, huh? She said, bitch, take his clothes off. I was like, bitch, take his clothes off. Like, I don't give a damn. So then she said, open your mouth. She says, moan. Moan the way that you want her to moan. So he is moaning. And then we see Roulette and Whisper. They run out the room and they take that nigga's car. And honest to God, you guys, I am not mad that they took that nigga's car. I ain't mad. I am not mad, you guys. So then we see Murder. So Murder, he pulled up on Pico, right? And Pico's like, hey man, so the shit that you saw on social media about me with Big T, nigga, I was just joking around. It wasn't nothing to take seriously. And he was like, my boy's been clowning me since he whooped my ass the last time. That ain't got nothing to do with nobody. That your boys are clowning you because you got your motherfucking ass beat up. That ain't got nothing to do with us. Baby, when Murder lit his ass up with that gun, I was like, damn, Murder. I wasn't expecting that. That scared when Murder shot him up, that shit scared me. I was like, oh, this is not the Murder that I know. I don't know who this is. I think this is LaMarcus. That ain't Murder. That ain't Murder. Because the Murder that I know, he is not a killer. I'm scared. Like, a bitch is scared. A bitch is scared. Ooh. Bitch, I'm scared. So then we see Uncle Clifford. So Uncle Clifford, she went to go visit her mother's grave. And this scene is a very real scene because it is something that I even dealt with when my mother had her surgery and she went back to the hospital. It was on my grandmother's birthday. And I remember praying to God and talking to my grandma. I was just like, if you could just at least let my mama get through the night, I would be so happy. I was like, just please, I prayed and I begged. I prayed and I begged to God just to not let my mother die on my grandmother's birthday. I remember that, watching that scene with Uncle Clifford, it just literally brought back so many memories to when my mother died. And unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately. I won't say unfortunately. I think for me, I've looked back on it I've looked back on it over the last 5 years, and I feel like it was both my mom. And like Uncle Clifford said about Grandma Ernestine, he's not ready to say goodbye to her, right? And I wasn't ready to say goodbye to my mom, but looking back on it, I feel like, and I'm gonna try to say this without crying, you guys. I'm gonna really try to not to cry. But I feel like in that moment, that night, I feel like it was both my mother and my grandmother telling me that she was okay and that my grandmother was okay. And for me, if I felt that they were telling me they were okay and that I am stronger than what I give myself credit for and what I believe. And I've learned that over the last 5 years that I am a lot stronger than what I do give myself credit for. I've been through a lot, you guys. In my short 33 years of living, I have definitely experienced a lot of loss. I've experienced a lot, and I just experienced a lot. So I felt Uncle Clifford in that scene. So then the final scene of the episode, we see Roulette. That woman is crazy. I don't know any other way to say it, but Roulette is a crazy ass person. There's something wrong with that girl. So she pulled up, I think she went to a chop shop where Duffy is, and she needs the car bust down. I promise you that girl is crazy. It's something off about Roulette. It's something off about Roulette and Whisper, but more so Roulette. The girl went, I mean, there's something wrong with that girl. I don't know what it is. I don't like her. I don't like her. I don't trust her. I don't see it for her. You guys let me know what you guys thought about it. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. I enjoyed the episode. We got 2 more episodes left of this season, you guys, and I'm not ready for the season to end, but it's coming. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn on your post notifications. Share the video, you guys. And until the next time, you guys, please stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, you guys. Wear a mask. Socially distance. Be blessed. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.